Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody and thank you for coming. The purpose of today's press conference is to introduce you to the new Governor of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, Dr Anna Breman. Dr Breman, welcome. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Reserve Bank Deputy Chair Roger Finlay, who led the search for the new Governor on behalf of the Reserve Bank Board. Dr Breman comes to New Zealand from Sweden, where she is currently the first Deputy Governor of the Riksbank, Sweden's central bank. It is, I am told, the oldest central bank in the world. I'll ask Dr Breman to say a few words shortly, and then she and I will be available to answer questions. But first, let me say a little about the appointment process and why Dr Breman has been appointed to the role. The position of Reserve Bank Governor is one of the most influential in the New Zealand economy. As you would expect, an extensive international search was mounted for the right candidate. Initially, more than 300 potential candidates were identified worldwide. The core criteria against which candidates were assessed were enterprise leadership, technical credentials, stakeholder engagement experience, personal resilience, and cultural capability. We were delighted by the calibre of people who put themselves forward for the role. This reflects well on the standing the Reserve Bank has internationally and the reputation New Zealand has as a great place to live and work. A long list of 10 international and domestic candidates was created, drawn from academia, the government, financial and regulatory institutions, and central bank leadership. Of these candidates, 4 were shortlisted for interviews with board members during July. The way it works is that I get the privilege of deciding on a new governor, but I have to do so on the nomination of the board. I was delighted by the board's nomination. Dr Breman brings to the role an impressive blend of technical expertise and organisational leadership experience. She holds a PhD in economics from the Stockholm School of Economics and has previously been Group Chief Economist at Swedbank, a leading Swedish commercial bank. She has also worked at the Swedish Ministry of Finance, the World Bank, and as an academic economist in the United States. Her appointment is for 5 years, and she starts on the 1st of December. I know New Zealanders will join me in welcoming Dr Breman and her family to New Zealand, and we look forward to showing her how much our country has to offer. I'm personally delighted that she is coming to New Zealand, and I very much look forward to working with her. I also want to thank Christian Hawkesby, who has done an admirable job of filling in as Governor since the 8th of April. Mr Hawkesby will finish up at the Reserve Bank once Dr Breman starts. In the meantime, he has generously undertaken to support the incoming Governor with her transition into the role, and we thank him for this. I wish Dr Hawkesby, Mr Hawkesby, all the very best for the future. Dr Breman, I'll now hand over to you to make your first remarks to New Zealand, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Minister. Kia ora, everyone. Let me start by saying that I'm deeply honoured to be appointed Governor of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. I also feel privileged to be welcomed to this country. I'm married, I have 2 teenage daughters, and we're all looking forward to moving here together later this year. The hospitality of New Zealanders is well known, but I'm still overwhelmed by the warmth and kindness that I've been shown during my time here. The past few years have been tough for central banks, for all central banks. After the COVID pandemic and after Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, inflation surged. We have all been reminded of how harmful and hurtful high inflation is to households and firms, to our economies. Now, inflation is lower, but the global environment is still challenging. We are facing geopolitical tensions and trade tension that weigh on the New Zealand economy, as well as on many other economies. Today, I will not comment on current monetary policy, but I'd like to make some general comments on the role of the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank is an excellent institution. It's known globally for being the first to adopt inflation targeting, but it's also known for its highly skilled staff. Staff are dedicated, they are loyal. They know how important the institution is to the New Zealand economy. And they work hard to achieve the mandate set out in the Reserve Bank Act. The Reserve Bank should, and it will remain, a source of strength and stability for the New Zealand economy. And together with the board and with staff, we will achieve this by focusing on our core mandate. There are three main areas of responsibility for the Reserve Bank. The first is price stability, and we will stay laser focused on delivering on low and stable inflation. The second is prudential supervision of the financial system that promotes financial stability, and that is important for a healthy and growing economy. And third, but not least, is a safe and efficient payment system, and that includes issuance of notes and coins. So a key component to build trust and credibility for the Reserve Bank is transparency and openness. The Reserve Bank lists high in international rankings of transparency, but I do believe that there is more work that needs to be done. So we will strive for transparency, accountability, and clear communication within all the work that we do. So before I wrap up, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Governor Christian Hawkesby for his important contributions to the Reserve Bank and his generosity and professionalism in supporting my transition into the role as governor. Again, I'd like to say how honored I am to be appointed governor and how grateful and happy I am to be welcomed in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll now take your questions.
Minister, was Dr Breman, just to clarify, the first recommendation that the Reserve Bank made, and when was that recommendation made?
Yes, she was the first recommendation that was made, and that recommendation was made to me on the 14th of August. I consulted with political parties for a 2-week period following that nomination, and Cabinet and the Governor-General provided approval for this appointment on the 8th of September.
Minister, what qualities does Dr Breman have that are particularly suited to the current environment that we find ourselves in?
Well, as I said, the Reserve Bank Board have judged that she has both the technical expertise and the organisational leadership required to lead the Reserve Bank well. I think that is demonstrated by her background, that she has already had extensive experience at Sweden Central Bank in the first Deputy Governor role, that she has a PhD in economics, that she has worked in leading roles in commercial banks, that she has worked in the Ministry of Finance, the World Bank, and in the United States as an academic economist. That is a broad and deep career and demonstrates that she is knowledgeable and skilled in the areas that she will be leading.
Minister, were you looking for a refresh here, someone who's not part of the current Reserve Bank system, considering all of the drama of the past few months?
Well, as I said, the selection process is led by the board of the Reserve Bank, consistent with the Reserve Bank Act. And they were clear about the criteria which they were assessing candidates against, which included both that organisational leadership, the technical credentials, engaging with stakeholders, personal resilience and cultural capability. Their process has given me confidence that they have simply chosen the best candidate for the job.
Given Christian Hawkesby's departure, though, is it your view that a clean slate is the best?
Well, I think that Christian Hawkesby has done an admirable job in the role of governor, and this is simply a reflection of the fact that Dr Breman has been judged to be the best candidate for the role.
So the terms are very attached to the fact that she is the first female governor in New Zealand?
Well, Dr Breman and I discussed this likely question yesterday, and what we both agree, and I think have experienced in our careers, is that we only ever want to be selected for a role because we are the best candidate, not because of our gender. However, it is also the case that it certainly makes a difference when young women and girls can see that there is no office that cannot be occupied by a woman. And I am glad that my daughters will be raised in a time where they can see that the Governor of the Reserve Bank can be a man or a woman.
Dr Breman, you'll be aware of the scandal that's engulfed the bank over the last few months and its leadership. Do you think you'll be able to provide stability to the central bank going forward?
That will be my primary focus going forward. I will be looking forward, and I will make sure that staff feel that we're now on a good path going forward.
And how do you see your communication style? How are you going to communicate with New Zealanders about what is often quite a complicated and tricky set of policies?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I will try to make myself available. I will travel the country, try to meet with people from all different kinds of businesses, regular households, students, and I will also try to ensure that more people from the Reserve Bank is out to meet households all around the country. I have extensive experience of communicating monetary policy, and I feel very comfortable doing so.
Dr Breman, you talked about price stability. Do you think inflation should be the sole mandate of the central bank, or do you think there's a place for employment?
Well, the Reserve Bank Act is very clear. Price stability is the primary target, but to achieve price stability, we have to consider how the economy is evolving. So we will follow the Reserve Bank Act, and we will focus on ensuring that we deliver low and stable inflation.
Dr Breman, the last, you noted in your remarks that the last few years have been tough ones for central banks. How important do you think it is, both in general and in your new job, that ensuring and reassuring the public that the central bank has it under control, that inflation is not going to get out of hand again, and rebuilding that public trust? How important is that?
I think it is extremely important, and that's why I stress transparency and openness. And that's also why I want to ensure that the Reserve Bank is communicating effectively and going out into the communities and meeting with people. Because people need to understand what we are doing, not just monetary policy, but also the other things that we are doing. But it is very important to be present and available, and that's what we aim to do.
And what specifically attracted you to uprooting your life and your family and moving down to the other end of the world?
Well, as I said, the Reserve Bank is an excellent institution. It's a full-service central bank. It has highly skilled staff, and the people of New Zealand and this country, it is a good place to be.
Dr Breman, for people who who may be hearing your name for the first time today, they might see you as a bit of an outsider to this job. What kind of confidence would you give in them that they can trust you?
That's a good question, and I'm aware that I'm coming from the outside and I'm new to this country. I do hope that they look at my credentials. I worked in the central bank when it's been a tough time with COVID, high inflation, the war in Ukraine, and we'd handled all those challenges. And I do believe that when they get to know me, they will see that I have the best interest of New Zealand and their economy. That's my primary focus.
Dr Breman, a lot of people in this country will be looking to the Reserve Bank as a way of improving the economic situation. It's been a tough few years. Are you up for that challenge?
Yes.
And what can you bring to this role that can give people that confidence?
Well, I do bring a number of years of experience doing exactly that. I worked in the field of macroeconomics over the past 15 years now. I do have a PhD, and I have a proven track record, so I hope that they will see that.
Dr Breman, do you believe central banks should ever deliberately engineer a recession?
Can you repeat that question? Didn't quite hear the last part.
Do you think central banks should ever deliberately engineer a recession? The former Reserve Bank Governor, Adrian Orr, was quite open about that's what the Reserve Bank was doing in 2022.
I think that you should focus on delivering low and stable inflation. I think a situation that we've seen in some countries where you manage to deliver on that without hurting the economy too much is very good if we can make it happen. But the key focus has to be on low and stable inflation, because you will not get strong growth or good employment levels without, in the long run, also having, in the medium term, I need to stress that, having low and stable inflation.
Minister, can I please ask, the Taxpayers Union put out a press release saying that you're burying bad news with this announcement today. Do you have any comment on that?
Oh, well, that's mischief. I will share with you candidly that we had intended to make this announcement on Wednesday last week, but Dr Breman has allowed me to share with you that she fell ill, and so we had to postpone her arrival to New Zealand, and this was the earliest possible occasion on which we could make this announcement. It is not the case that this has been engineered in any way, and of course Treasury determined the timing of their release of their fiscal statements. I'd also just note that actually I believe it's in our government's interests to highlight the fact that New Zealand has long-term fiscal challenges. That underscores the importance of the work we've been doing to balance the books and bring discipline back to spending.
Minister, was Christian Hawkesby on the final list of 10 names? And as far as looking overseas, how significant is that in this situation? I mean, was the talent pool in New Zealand not strong enough?
Well, look, I believe Christian has already outed himself as a candidate. Beyond that, I will respect the privacy of people who applied for the role. When people apply for these sorts of jobs, it's important that that privacy is maintained. I've also been informed that in terms of the number of people who applied for the role formally, that there were 11 candidates who formally submitted an application. 3 were domestic and 8 international.
Minister, the bank will need to review the OCR twice before you take up the role of Dr Breman. Have you got sort of any advice for the Monetary Policy Committee about how they approach those decisions ahead of your appointment? I think there's been a suggestion from one bank economist that they might have a tendency to be a bit cautious, I guess, ahead of a new governor coming in.
As I said before, in terms of current monetary policy, I do not want to comment before I take office, but I will be available for questions at that time.
So the criteria of cultural capability, can you be a bit more specific about what gives you confidence that Dr Breman satisfies that, and exactly how you look to judge that, whether that's culture within the bank itself or New Zealand culture more broadly?
I might ask Roger to address that in more detail, as it was a criteria that the board assessed. But what I would share from my experience and my engagements with Dr Breman is that she has a very good sense of what New Zealand history looks like, the challenges that we are facing, our political context, our monetary policy context, and all of that is critical to being able to deliver her role well. And it is significant in any leadership role in an economy that people understand that history, the way that previous decisions have been taken, and all of that informs the role. And I've been impressed in my engagements with Dr Breman by how much of that she has absorbed already.
What is your understanding of New Zealand's history, Dr Breman?
Well, I think that it would be wrong of me to try to give you an overview of that currently. So when I'm here and when I'm in the office, let me give a number of speeches where I can talk about, the cultural history of New Zealand and how that fits in and how that has affected economic development.
On your communication style, you're saying you're wanting to get out into the community and really talk to people. So you're going to be holding street corner meetings, or what does that exactly
Well, you gave me a good idea there. No, I think for the Reserve Bank to be out, I think we will have planned meetings. But I'm very keen to listen and to learn about the country, of course. But I think it's very important to meet with people.
So does that look like community-wide meetings that Reserve Bank officials are leading, or what kind of thing?
Let us get back to that when I'm in the office. But I have a lot of experience traveling around, my native country to meet with people, to meet with households, businesses. I'm not saying there will be a certain format. I'm just saying that I'm keen to meet people.
Minister, do you intend... a little bit about your familiarity with the New Zealand economy? It's obviously a small, slightly idiosyncratic economy. Often Reserve Bank governors have been locals because they have local knowledge. Can you just talk about your familiarity with the economy and how you're learning about it?
Well, so I do feel that I'm familiar with the economy. I've read a lot, and I'm looking forward to learning even more, of course, meeting with staff and meeting with people.
Dr Breman, have you been to New Zealand before this visit?
Yes, I have. I was here in July.
Minister, do you intend to renegotiate the policy targets agreement, or will the current one stand?
The current one stands. It's only Labour who are wanting higher inflation.
And secondly, can you give an assurance that you've told Dr Breman that she is the head of an independent bank and that there will be no occurrences of you whispering in the ears about the direction of policy?
Absolutely not. And Dr Breman and I both understand the importance of the independence of the Reserve Bank's monetary policy decision making.
Is it usual for a finance minister and a governor to hold a press conference together, just on the point of independence?
Well, look, this is my appointment under the Act. As the Minister of Finance, this appointment doesn't happen without my recommendation and approval. I think it's appropriate that I stand alongside the new Governor to make clear to New Zealand that she has our government's endorsement and that we have confidence in her. I also think that it's relevant that we, of course, under the Act, consulted with the opposition parties and no concerns were raised with this appointment.
How long before we see a new chair as well?
That process has kicked off, and I envisage taking a paper to Cabinet and making an announcement before the end of the year.
Dr Breman, the Minister answered earlier, but I'd just be keen to know for you yourself how you feel personally to be the first female Governor of the Reserve Bank.
Well, again, I think it's important that people look at my formal credentials. I do have experience in central banking, academia, in the financial sector. But I can tell you a bit on a personal note that when I told my oldest daughter that I had been offered this position, she was so happy for me, you know, and that made me really happy because to her it was very special that I was offered the position and then I did want to take the position. So in that respect, like the Minister stressed, it is nice for younger people to see that it's possible.
And what are your thoughts on the independence of the Reserve Bank?
I think it's crucial. I feel fully confident that the Reserve Bank is independent.
Minister, just on the mood of the boardroom this morning, why did you feel it necessary to make it clear to the audience that they weren't, you know, representative of New Zealand more broadly?
Look, as I said in my introductory remarks, I think businesses succeeding is critical to the goals we have for all New Zealanders in terms of job creation, income growth, opportunities. And so I both respect and listen to business leaders. It's also the case that that survey is with 150 business leaders. There are tens of thousands of businesses in New Zealand, some of which are small, some of which are not represented in that room. There are also households and sectors which are not represented in that room. And any government should be listening to a range of rooms of people. That mood of the boardroom is one input, but it's also important that we're listening to others.
Some of those businesses, or those chief executives and those business leaders will argue that they employ and interact with thousands and thousands of people from across, you know, different areas of society, and could argue that they do touch in certain areas. So
absolutely, and I think that's why I listen to what they have to say, why I take their feedback and perspectives very seriously. Equally, if you talk to the Auckland Chamber of Commerce, they represent a range of businesses that are not in that mood of the boardroom, as do other chambers around the country. So it wasn't in any way to demean the importance of those perspectives, but simply to say that's one perspective and there are many.
National has long prided itself on being a party of business. What does it say that they've dropped you from number 3 down to number 13 in the Cabinet rankings?
Well, as I said this morning, I think that reflects the reality of what has been a difficult recovery. And I understand and appreciate that for many businesses, the last several years have been extremely challenging, and they, like me, are eager to see growth with stable inflation and low interest rates. We've just come out of a very difficult quarter, as the statistics have confirmed, and I'm sure that those feelings were top of mind for those voting in the survey. And I am the person who is responsible for working with the government to set the conditions for economic growth and future. I accept that responsibility, and I am confident that the steps the government is taking mean that there'll be better surveys in the years ahead.
Not everyone in the Cabinet fared quite so badly in the scorings, though. Could someone else do the job better than you?
Well, I'm delighted to see the way that many of my colleagues were recognised by the leaders of the boardroom. You know, when I think about what's important for New Zealand's long-term productivity, well, our education reforms are critical. So it's fantastic to see Erica Stanford being celebrated for her leadership in the education sector. Similarly, when I think about what are the economic reforms that we are driving that will make a long-term difference to New Zealand's productivity and growth, well, Resource Management Act reform, consenting reform being led by Chris Bishop, extraordinarily important. In the world right now, we need an experienced, capable trade minister who can ensure that New Zealand's best interests are pursued. So it was fantastic to see Todd McClay recognised. We are a team, and we need leaders in distinct portfolios doing their work. And as Finance Minister, I work very hard to support all of them to ensure we have a coherent agenda and that we prioritise the right things.
And your response to Barbara Edmonds rating better than you?
Marginally, and I think that when she comes out with her tax policy, those numbers might shift.
Dr Breman, you started your speech today, or greeted us with kia ora. How are you feeling about having to take on the kind of that cultural part of New Zealand and the Maori economy and understanding that?
Well, I look forward to learning more, and I will make sure that as soon as I'm in office, I get people that will teach me, so that I learn more both about the language, but about the cultural aspects of that.
Minister, the Reserve Bank's been through a tough couple of months. Is Dr Breman's kind of appointment really the start of a turnaround job for the Reserve Bank?
We're opening a new chapter today, a new chapter in New Zealand's history and a new chapter for the Reserve Bank. Thank you, everyone.